Yeah, we've bonded over that. What I've always found fascinating is, and respected the hell out of, is you came from a pretty cush background, a really great job,
Yeah.
and said, I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna go over here, and it's worked for you. You guys have been great. Let's get into some of that. So, what'd you do before this? And then I'd like to transition to what you're doing now, because I love that transition story, because it is a unique one.
Yeah, so I spent the majority of my adult working years working for a large alcohol beverage company, a massive conglomerate, and had many different roles in that company, from national roles to regional roles, and was growing. In a company. So 17 years with one company, is a long time to spend, and really felt like I was going to retire with them, right? And that's kind of a mixed bag too, right? Having success working for somebody else, I always use the phrase that I was a professional entrepreneur tire kicker, right? Where I knew people that ran their own business and they had success. And you'd be like, God, that'd be nice to be your own boss, set your own hours, right? Work when you want to work.
Fallacy.
Exactly. BS, right? And I had a couple of opportunities. Well, and I say opportunities, right? People kind of presented some opportunities. I had a friend who worked for Hertz Rental Company. And she was telling me about how difficult it was to find porta-john companies for some of these big refinery jobs. And I didn't know anything about anything, right? And I'm like, God, how much does a porta potty, cost? And I Googled it. It was like $300. And I'm like, holy cow, these things are, nothing to buy. And I was like, well, I could buy a truck to service those, and I could hire somebody full-time to do that and still keep my career.
Yep.
Kind of put the pen to paper a little bit, and, the numbers were probably way out because I was making so much money. Right? I was like,
rich.
holy cow, I'm rich. And
2 porta potties, $6 million profit.
That's right. These margins are crazy. Why isn't everybody doing this?
Yeah. You cracked the business code.
Yes, exactly. I was that one guy who had it all figured out.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just kind of, I was at a stage in my life that taking on additional responsibility like that just really didn't make sense.
Right.
So I kind of put it on the side burner, right? And, met somebody special in my life, had an opportunity to move with the company that I was with at that time out to Nashville and help on board a brand that we had purchased and acquired out here. And, again, we just was set with the idea that, this was going to be, my career path through retirement.
Yeah.
And, things had happened, right? I'd worked with a company, and anybody that had been with a large conglomerate like I had been with could probably relate. We'd gone through a lot of reorgs. I was there 17 years, probably went through 17 reorgs, right? So dealing with that kind of level of anxiety, right?
Never kind of knowing what was going to happen.
It always felt like, I saw a lot of really good people have their card punched, right? A lot of really smart, a lot of really intelligent, good business-minded people get their card punched, right? So that it's kind of sometimes the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Right? Just being in the right place at the right time to not get called, right?
That's a lot of sleepless nights.
It is, right? And it always happened at the same time every year, so we used to call it Bloody January, right? Because we knew it was coming. They used to announce reorgs, and then they saw how that would totally just wipe the energy out of the company that they stopped doing that, right? And but we knew, right? And anyways, I was fortunate enough that I had spent quite a bit of time in that company in a role that offered me a opportunity to get out with a package that, I wanted to look at, businesses. You know, and initially it was kind of a knee-jerk reaction because whenever you leave a company, it's pretty taxing on you emotionally.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when it was 17 years.
Yeah, and it was a lot of self-reflection. It was a lot of, you know, pull yourself back up on your feet, you know,
Right.
type of thing. And then I did a lot of kind of, you know, self-improvement type of things, you know, really started to get into a little bit of meditation. I don't know. I think we've talked about this Miracle Morning, right?
Yep.
I love reading these books about self-improvement, and I've always been a big proponent of, you know, how do I get better today?
Yeah, man.
You know, how do I improve myself? How do I get smarter as a business person? How do I take care of my health in the proper mind? And then how do I improve my my mind? Right. I like to do reading every day. I like to kind of find my little quiet space and, you know, reflect a little bit and gratitude, right? And be thankful for, you know, all the things that I do have because I'm blessed, right?
Dude, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Because you can get distracting when, especially being an entrepreneur, when most days things go wrong.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that is just what it is.
Yeah.
It can start to be a self-pity party.
You can get cynical.
You can get cynical. That's a
right.
good way to put it. Especially towards people is what I've found. Because more often than not, people are going to disappoint you.
Yes.
And I got really cynical and that's no way to do it, you know, because then you get somebody great and you're cynical and they're going to feel that and they're not going to reach their potential. They're going to leave. Yeah. And then you go, I told you. See, yes. Every single time.
Well, it's a self-fulfilled prophecy, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And I try to take always steps back. Right. I'm actually reading this one book about communication and trying to be better because I'm old school. Right. When I grew up, it wasn't about the things that you did well. It was all the things that you could improve on. Right. And whether it was a coach or whether it was my parents.
Right.
Right. The long list of things you could improve on was the only thing we focused any time and energy to.
Right.
What I did well, nobody ever acknowledged.
Right.
Right. And there was good things and bad things about that. You know, it kind of calloused me up a little bit. And I think, you know, when you talk about what the secret sauce is, and I'm not sure what it is, but I think resilience is part of that secret sauce.
Yes.
Right. Because you are going to get faced with a ton of setbacks and setbacks that you think mean the end of, you know, you and your business.
Yeah, big time. That's the I would say grit, same thing.
Yeah.
Right. And what's been interesting about that is especially when dealing with like investors and stuff like that, that's one of the main things they're all looking for, especially at our early stage.
Yeah.
Is just like, we got to believe that the team's going to have grit.
Yeah.
Because they know everything's going to go wrong.
Yes.
And it's just like, we've said this 1,000 times in here is, you know, we cannot fail if we don't quit.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's just like, we can't run out of money.
Yep.
And we can't quit.
Yeah.
And if we don't do either one of those, we will eventually find the route to success.
And I truly, truly believe that. Yeah. Right. So, so kind of back to how I ended up, you know, getting down this path that I really never, figured initially, you know, I have this knee-jerk reaction, self-pity, self-improvement, and really trying to get myself better. Thought about getting back into the industry, and then the more and more I went down that interview path, I felt like I didn't. And I was doing both. I was looking for a company and doing interviews, right? Not committed to either one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I did shitty on interviews because I'm in the whole mind, I'm like, I don't want to freaking work for another person again.
Yeah.
Right.
I got to restart these relationships.
Yes. So I wasn't committed to that, and I wasn't committed to starting my own business. Right. But I had an idea of what I wanted for a business.
Right.
Right. First of all, I didn't want a franchise. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. But I wanted to get into something that wasn't sexy. right?
Nice.
Because I wanted to eliminate some of that competition right off the bat,
Yep.
right? Because everybody wants. I had friends going, well, why don't here? I'll put you some money. We'll make a spirit brand.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
There is no money
shot.
in that. I can tell you that from
Especially for
experience.
startups.
For startup, there's no money.
Because you're
All you do is
competing with 200, 300-year-old companies.
well, it's that, and it's just, to get into the market, it costs so much money.
Advertising,
Right.
or is it just like the production? It's everything.
Just getting your product into the right places
Yeah.
is so expensive. The way the industry is set up, it is not set up for the small mom and pops.
Right.
It's set up for the large conglomerates, the large suppliers, right? When you go into a grocery store, there's only a handful of companies that actually own all of those brands that are in there.
Yeah.
And it's for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the cost of entry is just so astronomically high. Then every once in a while somebody, hits, that magic.
unicorn.
Yeah,
Yep.
the unicorn. But for every one success, there's thousands and thousands of brands that fail.
Right. And
right?
what's weird about that in the spirit industry, the spirit industry is you have like tech success levels, which is very low still, right?
Yeah.
But the payout, even if you are that unicorn, is still pretty small as running the business because the margins are so small.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's so much risk and still reward, but smaller rewards where, like, to your point, fuck that.
Yeah.
We're not getting into that.
Right. So I, for me, I wanted to get into something unsexy. So I had a handful of industries that I was looking into that kind of met that mark. I wanted something that was innovative because back in my old, role, I dealt with innovation, right? And I saw how having something unique to your competition can really separate your brand,
Right on.
and create some excitement and enthusiasm. I wanted something that was trending well from as far as growth opportunities, right? And then I wanted something that had good margins, right? Because I like numbers, I like finance, and I'm not in this to not make money.
That's right.
Right. So I had a broker call me up out of the
Franchise
blue.
broker?
Yeah. And when you get a certain age, like my age, right, they bombard you all the time.
No kidding.
Yes, they find you on LinkedIn. They're like, this guy's old. He's probably going to get shit canned here in the next couple of years.
He's got some money stashed away.
Right. He probably has a 401k. If he's halfway decent, he's got a package that they'll package him out on. We'll sell him on the dream of not having to work for anybody, right? And being your own boss. And
You're like, this is never going to work on me.
right. No, exactly. Right. And but
forward.
I got along with the guy, right?
Yeah.
He's like, hey, what are you looking for? And I basically told him exactly what I told you. And he's like, man, I've got something. And I'm not going to say any names. But
Just name the other industries you were looking at.
so I was looking at the laundromats. Right.
Cash flow business.
Yes.
That's nice.
I like cash flow.
Yep.
Right. I was looking at some fabrication companies. There was one that was available for septic tanks. They were building concrete septic tanks.
Interesting.
Right. That was for sale.
Building or install or both?
Building.
Okay, nice.
Just building them. Right.
I've got a buddy whose family business has been in like the environmental side of that, so removing them and make sure they're removed properly and all that stuff. They've made a great living off of it for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's an interesting industry.
Yeah. So, those were kind of the two ones that, I remember were at the top of my list of things that I was vetting through.
What was the laundromat, upfront cost? And how does that work? Was it a franchise?
No. So I was going to buy a used one.
Okay.
So I was going to buy an existing one.
Buy
There's
their
a handful available. And, if you find one that has equipment that's halfway decent, right, you start bringing in that money on a consistent basis, and then you can grow. There's thoughts of how do you make yours unique, right? There's two kind of thoughts on this side of the business. You can make yourself a destination, or you could just grab the money, right? And just keep your overhead low.
It smells like shit.
Right.
Looks like shit.
Yes,
but you can wash your clothes here.
You can wash your clothes here, right?
Yeah, that explains the difference in laundromats when you walk into them.
Yes.
Because I've noticed that, but I didn't know that was like an actual choice.
Yes.
Because of just the margins.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're not, I mean, again, what you think the margins are, the margins are different depending on whether or not you're carrying debt.
Yes. Big time.
Right? So
huge
margins on paper look really awesome.
Yeah.
Until you start factoring in your debt services.
Right.
And you're like, holy shit, that number now at the very far right-hand corner
is negative.
Is negative because I didn't account for, increasing interest rates.
Right.
Right. I didn't account for, one of the things, not to get too far ahead of this conversation, that I didn't account for is growing is expensive.
Big time, especially in your industry and my previous industry.
And not growing could be detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You got a choice. Do I just sit where I'm at, right, and start paying off debt?
Yeah.
And say no to people,
right?
Who can help with your growth.
Yeah.
Say no to.
You feel like it's slipping away at some point. You're like,
of course,
I want to grab that.
Of course, because you always want to say yes. You always want to say yes to opportunities, right? Because I feel like if I say no to a customer, I might never get an opportunity to say yes to that customer.
They're gone forever,
right?
Possibly. Okay, so I want to get into that because that's a really good conversation. So you're deciding on a couple different industries. Right. You're getting out, or you're leaving your current company. How did you land on where you landed on?
So he presented this idea of a dumpster with a porta-john attached to it,
and you were like, "Perfect, not sexy."
I was like, "Well,
you love porta-johns."
So yes, right. I already had a love affair with the idea of a porta-john company, right?
This is made for me.
Yes. So somehow he caught me. Hooked me with something in my in my past as far as
your journal.
Yes, he found my
porta potty drawings.
Yes, future businesses, and
they're just all shit based.
Yes, and then we have some investment properties we've had to deal with dumpster companies, and for the most part the customer service is poor at best.
Yep.
Right. Especially if you're just a small mom and pop operation. We're just doing a couple of property renovations. So like, how many dumpsters you need? 2. Okay.
All right, we'll get them out there.
We'll get it out there eventually, and it'll be $1,200 a piece.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to do this for you.
That's right.
Because you're insignificant in the grand scheme of what we're trying to get accomplished. So we're hoping you're going to say no.
Right. We're going to force you to say no.
Yes.
And if you don't, fine, we'll take your money.
Yes, exactly.
And we'll do it our way. Yeah, you're right. That's like super common amongst a lot of these non-sexy industries, which makes them to me sexy.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge opportunity you throw in a little bit of just business, customer interaction, put some happy people on the phone.
Well, you know what? We came in here not even knowing anything about the industry, Gabe, right? We came in here with, it's mind-boggling how little knowledge we had.
Yeah.
Right. I reflect back and I look, and because I have all of my notes and I've got all of I've got my original business plan, right?
Yeah.
And I look at that, I'm like, what clown put this together? Right?
Yeah.
Because this
10 million first year easy.
Yes. Right. No, it's not even so much that. The numbers are actually surprisingly spot on.
Oh, well, that's impressive.
The numbers are spot on, but it kind of goes back to, this whole idea of being an entrepreneur. If you don't have aspirational targets to hit, you're never going to hit them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. You can get pretty stagnant really quickly.
Yes. So we had pretty big numbers because I knew what I needed to live on.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a motivation behind it. Right. I was like, well, wait a second.
I've seen your house. Yeah. You got a standard.
Right.
It's not low.
No. So we had to produce, and we had to produce quickly. So anyways, he presented this idea, and I was like, God, this seems like great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how could it, possibly miss?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Seemed like a no-brainer. And again, I went in there so naive. Right. And I decided to visit with the company. The company was owned by a different group than who owns it today. But, there were some gaps in the people who I was sitting down with as far as what I thought they brought to the table. But I was like, I could figure this out. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily need them to be everything for me. I could figure this out by myself. Right. It's a product that I thought everybody needed. Right. And that the sell would be, hey, you need a dumpster and you need a porta-john? I'm your guy.
Done. Yep.
Right.
Pretty, at least sitting in that spot at that time for you, I can see the avenue to finding customers would look very easy.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I know my targets. I know who needs this.
Yes. I was like, this is going to be the easiest thing that you can possibly have to sell. Yeah. Right. I quickly realized that wasn't the case.
Okay. So how did you realize it? Let's talk about like first month in business. You've gone from this really successful career, this whole process of trying to find the business that you wanted to be in. Now you've dumped your money into it, or you've gotten big loans into it. You got all the equipment. You've done the training with the franchise. Yeah. Doors are open, and the phone just starts ringing, right? Just nonstop customers.
So there was a lot of preliminary work that we did prior to opening the door. Like, we knocked on a lot of doors. We called a lot of people. We leveraged a lot of kind of, do you know anybody type friendships? And they're like, well, I know somebody that does this. Do you mind if you give me the number? And you'd call them up and you'd ask questions about who they use, what type of price do they get.
So how long before you opened did you do that? 'Cause that's
3 months. We did 90 days.
Okay, so I just wanted to go into a little bit of detail of that, because I think that's really, really good advice for a lot of businesses, and I don't think many people do that. I was joking earlier when I said the phone's just going to start ringing, because it doesn't, right? Yeah. No one gives a shit. So you guys smartly said, all right, we're getting in this business. Our decision's made. We're waiting on materials or equipment.
We're waiting on equipment, right? We're finalizing everything. We knew that we didn't want to launch at a time of the year that we thought the industry was going to be slow.
Nice, okay.
So we wanted to launch in where it was going to start to uptick.
Spring?
So spring,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we ended up launching in February of 2001.
So for 3 months, you dug into your network. You went to networking events. You just started
P&I.
talking to people, right?
Yep, started talking to people. And again, doors aren't open. So everybody's like, yeah, it sounds like a great deal. Hit me up when you guys get closer to launch, right? And everybody's friendly, because I'm not doing the hard pitch.
Right.
Right.
Because you're not desperate yet.
Yeah, I'm not desperate yet, right? And there's something about selling when you're desperate too.
Yes.
We could, because people smell fear.
Oh yeah, dude, big time. That's a different ball game.
Yes. So had a lot of positive feedback, right? And did a lot of market research, and we knew what customers we were trying to target. Why we went that route was more because that was the direction that was kind of part of the franchise group's kind of.
Oh, so they encouraged you to do that.
They've encouraged us to target a certain segments.
Gotcha.
Right, okay. Because of turns, frequency, and the need for dumpster porta-johns, right, and those type of services.
I think that's the thing that most of these home service businesses don't do. Because what you did was you turned your day one into day 91.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and like that. Otherwise, you're going to open your doors and you're going to be 3 months behind, which you guys probably were. I mean, I'm sure it was still scary at open, but did that work pan out? What happened when you finally did officially, quote unquote, open your doors?
So, first week, we didn't have one call.
Hell yeah.
First week, we didn't have one call.
You're like, I'm about to sell everything.
So, it was second week, we didn't have one call. We're driving trucks around because right now it's just my son and I.
Right.
I didn't have anybody on my payroll. It was just my son and myself. And we're hanging out at Home Depots. Right.
Billboard on the truck, basically.
Yes, billboard on the truck. We're putting flyers on people's, trucks. We're going into stores. awkwardly introducing ourselves as they're, annoyed as they're trying to buy timber or whatever they're trying to. And keep in mind, this was still fairly recent after, the chaos that was, the COVID lockdown.
Yeah, because this is 2021.
Yeah, so everything was still in short supply.
Very beginning of 2021.
Yeah, so it was still, kind of, a mess out there.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any. We didn't get any calls for the first 2 weeks, and I remember the first call, and I'll never forget this young lady who gave us a call. She was out of California, and she's like, "Hey, I wanted to give you guys a call because I need a dumpster out in Hendersonville. I wanted to check what your prices are." And I almost asked her, "Well, how much do you want to pay? Because I'm about to give you a dumpster for free." Right.
I'll pay you.
Yes.
Just let me get the dumpster out.
And I gave her our price at the time, and she's like, "Yeah, why don't we book it?" Right. I'm still new on this. This is the first order I even put in our system. Right. And I may have called her 6 times. Right. Because I kept on missing information that it was just a complete shit show.
And you're like, I'm going to blow this cell because I don't know how to work this system.
Exactly. Right. So we routed one delivery that day, right? Nice. And if I could have, and if I had the funds available, I would have rented. And I tell this story to my son, and we laugh because we both remember this customer because we gave her a gift bag.
Hell yes, dude.
Right. Right, because she was our first customer.
Yeah.
I would have hired a marching band to deliver this fucking dumpster to that address. That's how much it meant to us.
That is an important thing that I want to emphasize. When you take the leap of faith and you put all your hard work, sweat, money, and tears into it, and that customer calls and you're like, oh my God, this is it. It's working. I'm Elon Musk. I figured it out. Yeah. We're going to be billionaires. That's why it feels personal when things also go wrong.
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Because I don't want to say, I've got a lot of help, right? So it's not all me. Correct, by any stretch of the imagination, of course. Right? I couldn't do this without my son.
Yeah.
Right. I couldn't do it without my wife. I couldn't do it without the support, the Gabes of the world, right? All of that kind of camaraderie that you have, when you basically freaking just risk it all.
Yeah, man.
Right. And what we did when we talk about perseverance, there's this great, kind of story about how this great, I think it was a Roman general or one of the great generals in history, they burned their boats.
Yeah, dude, I love that.
Right.
I'm a big burn the boats guy.
Yeah. There's only one path.
You're going to make it work.
Right.
I mean, it goes right to your point earlier when you were deciding on starting a business or interviewing with companies. Neither one was working because you had...
I was on all in.
Yeah, burn the boats, go.
Yeah, you'll make it work. We burnt the boat, right?
Okay, so she calls. Did she know that that she's the first customer?
We told her, and I think it was painfully obvious. And luckily, we told her, I think, up after we picked it up.
Nice. Okay.
Right, because I'm sure I was scaring the hell out of her.
You're like texting her. You're like, "Hey, how's your dumpster?"
Yes.
Are you guys happy?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, it meets to your standards, right?
Yeah.
And
she's like, "It's fine."
It's a goddamn dumpster guy.
Yeah, I'm good. The dumpster's okay. Quit texting me.
As long as it's square or rectangle, right?
Doesn't latch in the back and throw shit in it. It's fine.
So and then after that, we got another customer that called us up. A big
next day.
Shortly thereafter.
Okay.
Probably shortly thereafter, and it was a large restoration company that called us up, and we had been pinging them from time to time, right? Because we went into their offices initially, and they're like, "Oh, we're good. We got somebody." Right. And we were just fortunate, again, talking about consistency and your methodology and how you do stuff. We just kept on going, "Hey guys,
we're still here.
We're still here."
Yeah, I know you got a guy, but I'm your number 2.
Yeah, and they said, "Oh, you know what? We just got a price increase."
Guess whose prices are very low right now, specifically.
And then we revisited our pricing, which happened to make sense for them, and said, we got a fire job at address down in Hendersonville. Can you guys service it? So I think we brought 2 dumpsters out there. And shortly thereafter, probably 1 or 2 hours, they're like, hey, when can you, swap those out? Today.
Yeah. Like, I'm actually here. I'm just down the street.
I'm just stalking you guys, watching you fill it up. And
that's customer service. No, that's creepy, dog.
Yes. So they're like, really? Yeah, we'll pick it up right now.
These guys are great.
Exactly. Well, that's what it ended up being. We probably did. If you remember the one job we did with you guys out in Springfield.
Oh, like the 8 dumpster turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Nice.
Right. We probably did in 10 days. We probably did 20 to 30 dumpster.
And that's y'all's, as far as the business model goes. That's your bread and butter. The quick turns.
We're all about quick service. If you tell us you need a swap out tomorrow, our goal is to deliver that swap out.
Yeah,
right?
And I can speak from experience. That's exactly what y'all do.
Right.
That's 100% what y'all do.
And our customers are the most important things to us. So we take that responsibility serious because for us, we want our customers to have success on their jobs, and we know having an empty dumpster or dumpster available on a job site allows them to finish a job quicker.
It affects so much of the margins on the job, man.
Yeah.
If you got no dumpster and it's crucial to have all the guys work and you're waiting on a turn, you've got hours of paid labor doing nothing.
Paid labor or touching debris twice.
Right. Yep. And that has happened to us many times before we met you guys. And that problem was legitimately solved overnight when we started working with you guys. So that is, if anybody's listening to this and you own a construction company or a restoration company or remodeling, restoration.
4 hours.
Yeah. Remodeling, restoration, property rentals.
Rental properties. Yeah.
And then roofing companies.
Yes.
The 4 R's. If you were one of the 4 R's, these guys in Nashville are hands down the best. You guys were killer for us.
Yeah.
So you rented the marching band. You told the lady thank you. You got another big business. And then what's month 1 to 2 to 3 to 6 to 12 look like?
So we were blessed because when I talk to other owners and kind of hear their struggles, right? I always, thank the Lord, right?
Yeah,
that we were able to persevere because there was a lot of things that happened prior to us opening up the doors that I didn't know what the hell I was doing, Gabe.
Same.
Right. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then
Still
all of a sudden,
don't.
the bank's like, well, you need to have collateral on this loan. I was like, what?
You're like, hold on.
Well, how much collateral? Well, 20%. I was like, what?
So you're like, okay, there goes my cars.
Well, no, that's one of my working capital.
Oh, so they use your own cash as the collateral.
Because all my cash and all my stocks or a portion of my stocks,
the collateral on the loan?
Was the collateral on the loan.
So
right, because I didn't want to put
Can you not touch that?
Not right now.
Oh, my God. So you were really relying on cash for the business.
Of course.
To pay the note.
It had to come in. I literally had hours worth
of time.
Yes, hours worth of cash in the bank. Right? It was when I said when the boat was burnt, it was disintegrated.
Yeah, you're like okay.
Yeah,
you're like all right. It's sell the house time or we got to get busy.
So we kept everything kind of this is gonna work on the merits of the dream, right?
Work.
Or it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't going to risk, house and home.
Yeah.
Right. But I was gonna potentially risk a marriage.
Yeah, dude.
Right. And potentially risk anything that resembled a retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we went all in, and we needed that money. In our first month, we did 100 rentals, which
in the first month.
Yeah, our first full month.
Holy crap, man.
Right. And there was a lot of things that kind of went right.
What does that mean numbers wise? Can you talk?
Yeah, so it was so from a revenue standpoint, if you're assuming that an average dumpster is renting for $700 or so, at that time I think we were probably a little bit cheaper. That's 70,000.
First month.
Right.
That's incredible.
Right. Yeah, we were. There was a lot. There was somebody who looking down upon us, going,
like, all right,
"These two poor souls have no idea what they're doing. We're going to throw them a little life vest to help them out a little bit," because there were certain things that bounced our way. Right. First of all, we went into a strong market.
Yep.
Really strong market.
That's true. It was good timing.
Yeah. We had a couple of jobs kind of fall into our laps because of things that happened, because everybody was doing so well. People just started raising prices.
Interesting.
Right. So when you're looking at your inventory and you're like, well, we don't have any inventory, maybe we're priced too low. Everybody started going price. Well, we're got plenty of dumpsters.
Right.
We're not going to do anything with our price.
Right.
Right. And we've done very little with our price, even though sometimes I look at the books and going, oh,
Yeah, if we just charge X% more, whatever you know.
But
well, I think it's important to give y'all credit where credit's due. Sure, luck plays a part, but if you look at how hard you guys have worked, all of the pre-work that went into it, I mean, some things happen by accident, but not a lot of things. But the important part there, I think, is you guys, you'd say we didn't know what we were doing. I know that feeling. But it worked so well right off the bat, and y'all's main focus was customer service.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lesson there for young business owners or future business owners to know, like, hey, look, customers basically expect things to go wrong most of the time. And if you deal with it in the correct way, and if you're customer-centric, customers first, it's going to work out. You're going to learn the things that you don't know.
Yes, and we have learned quite a bit, right? From the very basics of, truck mechanics, which, had no idea.
Nope, me neither. I'll be lost.
From how do we find customers, right? We went really guerrilla in our method, knocking on doors.
Oh, yeah. A lot of networking.
Sending a lot of networking, right? The networking, I had an opportunity, obviously, to meet you. You and your advice has been instrumental in our growth. When you have that relationship with somebody who's, in your customer wheelhouse, and you could talk very frankly with them as far as, hey, what can we do?
Right.
It's nice to have that personal relationship, because a lot of times it's just business.
Oh, that's interesting.
And you can't dig in deep when it's just a business relationship. They're great, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But when you have that personal relationship and just hearing, your feedback, I was like, I think we're going down the right path.
Right.
Right. And your needs, more importantly.
Right.
Here's what we need, Bob.
And you're like, oh, we can execute on that.
Yes, we can do that.
Oh, that's really cool, dude. I don't think I've had that. Was probably not. I mean, I'm not giving myself credit, but anybody in that position, that's probably super valuable. It's the same thing we were talking about earlier as we're planning to launch MyHome, is we're slowly launching and using our wait list, because we know there's going to be issues at first, and we don't want to get in the wrong hands and giving us a bad review and all that stuff, right? So it's the same thing to you. It's like, hey, we've got not only a great business relationship, but Gabe can come to me and be like, hey, you guys are fucking this up.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go to someone else and get other business, because you're going to be like, all right, we're going to solve that.
That's right. Yeah. And I think those are important relationships. And that's what I love about networking and the tremendous amount of value with building out that networking is building really, truly beyond business relationships.
Yeah.
So that you could have somebody speak very frank with you about things, and we could strip away a little bit of the financial aspect of it,
right?
And we could talk about, have transparency on the service aspect of it, the product aspect of it, and then even financially.
Yeah.
Because I could speak to you and you like, hey, Bob, I need you to be 50% cheaper. Well, Gabe,
Here's my numbers.
I'm going to show you my books.
Right. I can't do it.
How much do you want me to make?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You tell me what you're comfortable making.
Because it can't be zero.
Right,
know?
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable having those type of conversations where, I can't honestly say that I have too many of those, even with the close relationships that we do have with our customers, because, they're, ultimately they could just say, hey, we'll just search someplace else.
Right. Yeah, because they don't care about the relationship.
Yeah.
And, I think what's unique about that is we started our businesses like 6-8 months apart.
Yeah.
And we were in a very...
and you were in a franchise too.
Yep. Very similar industries, very franchises.
It's a good gripe session. Good therapeutic.
Yeah, dude. And that's where we developed our relationship is most of the time it was like, we're running ragged and trying to make it happen, not knowing what the hell to do. And then a 20, 30-minute conversation after BNI would set me straight for weeks.
Yeah.
Because, you realize you're not alone.
Yep.
Everybody's struggling. It sucks for everybody. This isn't easy. It's not supposed to be easy, but just keep going. Right. And like that's a big part of these conversations too for us.
And you said this, the camaraderie, right? Not being alone, because there's moments that you're like, am I the only one that's feeling just like too much is on my plate? The plate is overflowing every single day.
Yep.
Right. I joke with my son who bears the brunt of his dad's, roller coaster moods, because I was like, I can't find peace. Yeah. If we're slow, I'm stressed. If we're busy, I'm stressed.
Yep.
Right. I don't know what tomorrow's going to be. I don't know what next month is. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of perpetual kind of anxiety, and you learn to kind of, deal with it. I listened to somebody who was talking about the entrepreneur world and the ones that have success are the ones also that beyond perseverance and everything else is managing the anxiety. And I think it was Elon Musk of all people, who had something kind of telling when he was talking about feeling comfortable in that stressful environment.
Right.
And kind of not coming to peace, but kind of coming to peace with it.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a really good quote similar to that. It's like Tom Brady or Michael Jordan or one of the major athletes.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna try to go word for word because I'll totally fuck it up. Yeah. But the overall gist of it is, if you're going on an endeavor, whether that be a sport or business, whatever it is, and you look at who's the most successful in that industry or that sport, and if that path doesn't look appealing, you shouldn't go for the end goal, right? Yeah. And the end goal of a successful business is exactly what you're describing. And if you can't at least get comfortable in that path, you're going to be miserable no matter what the outcome is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that was always my problem at the beginning. It was like similar to yours. If I was not busy, I was worried. If I was busy, I was worried about the next time I wasn't going to be busy.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And you're like, God damn, can I just get a little comfortable for 2 seconds? Yeah. And then not to mention both of our industries, my previous industry was, there's no recurring aspect to it. Mm-hmm. So you have to keep hunting. You have to keep killing.
Find new people.
Right. Especially if you want to grow. Yeah. If you want to stay similar size, you can start to relax after a couple years probably, right? If you're working hard. But if you want to grow and get more, markets or get more trucks or whatever it is, it's never ending.
No, we're in the process of buying more equipment, and I mulling over pulling the trigger is like, are we ready?
Yeah. Right.
Will we find customers, because we're going into a different size segment than what we've historically. We've only dealt with large size dumpsters, but we're going to purchase smaller dumpsters.
Is that more residential focus?
Residential, but then we also found that some of our key customers, some restoration companies, that we deal with, have some of those smaller projects, and it makes sense for them. So
got it.
It's to kind of accommodate them, but also get into a completely different customer, because not that we're even close to being saturated. where we're at, but it's always trying to find different avenues of growth and revenue, right?
Yeah.
So we don't even play in.
So that's
really,
like the vertical kind of growth, opening up another market for you guys. That's interesting.
So we hardly our really small percentage of our business is kind of core, kind of residential, clean outs,
like the family.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just our dumpsters are too big. Right?
Yeah.
They're less.
So you think you're going to open up a little bit more of that with the smaller ones?
That's our hope. That's kind of what we're going to be targeting from a.
When do those come in?
We should have those in. So to be safe, I will say the first week of August.
Perfect. We'll get you on the platform, and you can test out getting more residential.
You know what? I love that.
Yeah, because we're launching like middle August.
Okay.
So, I mean, it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah. No.
It's a great chance to be like, all right, let's get it in front of some residential folks and see if they need it.
Yeah.
I'd like to, again, talk numbers real quick.
Yes.
Well, first I want to, because this is good advice for the future business or current business owner who's in that same position. What was because it's kind of chicken or the egg, for you and your business, what was the final straw? Like, all right, this is a good decision. Let's throw the cash into it. Let's buy this more equipment, which might mean another truck. It might need more people. When were you comfortable in your current setup to say, all right, this is now the time to do that? I think that's really tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is, right? So I did a lot of research trying to find out what, because, you go into this and there's numbers that my previous life provided me some really great analytics and knowledge of. Then there was other things that I had no idea of.
Right.
What's a good debt ratio?
Right. I don't know. Good question.
Hell, I had to Google what the hell debt ratio was.
Yeah, dude. Right? That's what my wife specializes in. She can handle all that stuff.
So, because, when you don't know something, you either just continue to be blind.
Right.
And, kind of say, it'll be good.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I've done that.
Or you do some research and you try to figure out, okay, well, I don't know this.
So you did some research on the healthy amount of debt you should carry versus revenue and all that stuff. And that was just your own research, or did your franchise help you on it?
No. It was all me. Unfortunately. It was.
Franchise help might be an oxymoron.
Right. Yes.
Not naming any names, but.
Yeah. But, it was one of those things. And, and you got to kind of massage that too, because, Google will tell you what Google's going to tell you.
Yeah. I think the important part there is, and this is common advice that people give, is find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody who's been there, done that.
That's hard to find, right?
Especially in like your industry.
Because even sometimes you and I will have great conversations. And I remember this one conversation we had because sometimes I'll carry, large balances in my checking account.
Yeah.
And it just sits there not making anything.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, well, this is more than I've had in a checking account my entire life.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be doing something for me, right? 1%, 2%, whatever. And I asked you, I was like, well, what do you usually do? Because I told you, I kind of like having it there because I have no idea what tomorrow's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And understanding cash flow. How quickly is cash coming in and going out, right? You have a vague idea,
sure,
right? But you don't really have it so dialed in that you know that, this much is, and this is, well, here's when people are going to be paying you.
Right.
Right. So it's just more of a gut.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible way to run your business, is just by your gut. But anyway, so I did some research on, debt. So I like net profits to be 2 to 1.
Okay. To your debt.
To my debt.
To your debt services?
To my debt services. So
okay.
I want to have 2 times as much net revenue coming in that bottom
gotcha.
As I do with debt payments.
Gotcha. So then the rest goes to your overhead and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
So
I think that's good. That's good. At least a good spot for somebody to go, okay, now I know what to research.
Yeah.
I know where to start on.
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm about to make the decision to go into debt, buy more equipment, try to grow and scale, what do I need to look at my current numbers? What do I need to hit?
And I track that on a month-to-month basis. So I've got a pretty elaborate kind of scorecard that I put all of this data in because I'm a data guy. I like data, I think.
Yeah.
And it's only because I like data because I like something to not necessarily validate my decisions, but I like something to help, push me.
Yeah.
And make me feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
On a decision. I guess motivate.
Yeah. I'm a big gut guy, but I'm the same way with the data. And I should be better at this. And this is why me and Lindsay are a good team, because she is. But I am a huge gut guy.
Yeah.
And the data helps me go, okay,
yeah,
let's go. You
yeah.
know.
So I mean, that's kind of when you ask, how do I make that decision? As long as I've got, 60 to 90 days that I'm over that 2-to-1 ratio.
Gotcha.
I feel like our business, and if I feel like, we've got continued growth, and then it depends on, I'm always pushing more revenue, right? So equipment always has to generate more money, right? And I think, a lot of people, sometimes look at it as, well, this is what it'll do in the future. I'm like, what will it produce for me tomorrow?
Right, because that debt's going to start getting paid off pretty quickly.
Yes. So I'm heavy on, if I'm going to buy more trucks, why am I buying more trucks? So I have enough containers that buying more trucks justify.
Yep.
Am I making those turns quicker? Am I help servicing job sites quicker because I have more trucks? Or is that truck just going to sit there because we already have enough trucks for the containers? So I've got a ratio that I like to work with, from the number of containers to the number of trucks that I have, that I could service customers that need quick turns. Right.
Perfect.
So we keep a high level of dumpster to truck ratio, meaning we don't have a lot of dumpsters for every one truck that we have, because we want the ability to turn. Right.
And that's your kind of y'all's big differentiator too. So that makes sense. Couple more questions. You've been generous with your time, so I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
You comfortable saying what your first year revenue was?
So our first revenue, first 12 months, we were right at little over 1 million.
1.1-ish, 1 million, 12 months of dumpster rentals. That's incredible, dude.
Yeah, it was.
And you predicted that? You said that you kind of forecasted that you could do
that was our number. It was only our number because that's what I needed to live on.
Yeah, right. You're like, that's all used.
Yes. What do I need to live on?
Yes. Right.
Right. So
standard of life didn't drop.
So basically, it was the numbers worked. We worked. What is my need financially? And then we worked it backwards. We're like, okay, this is how many dumpsters we need. This is how many trucks we need.
Cool.
This is how many. We worked our numbers backwards.
So there you go. That's another great lesson. Plan backwards. Know what you need. Know what your family needs. Plan backwards based on the business model.
It's the only way I think you could do it properly, and it's the only way to put. What's that saying? Big, hairy,
audacious goals.
Audacious goals.
BHAGs, yeah.
Yeah, right. Because otherwise, if you let the business come to you, you're always going to be just waiting
a little bit less, yeah.
And
I think that does kind of remove some of the risk that you hear from people who are like middle-aged with a couple of young kids, right? It's like, I can't do this now because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Well, if you work it backwards and you know what you need, what your family needs to live, and put a little extra in there, and then if the model doesn't work, then don't do it, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. If the model doesn't work, if you can't figure out how to solve that model, right, then it might not be the right time for you to do that.
Yeah, and if the solution is I'll figure it out or luck, don't do it.
Yeah, and we probably had a little bit of that, and we went again pretty naive.
You're not going to know everything.
We didn't. I didn't think it was going to be as hard to get customers as it ended up being.
Yeah.
Same. That was, I think, the big shocker. I thought everybody would go, wait, dumpster Porta-John?
Here's my credit card.
Yes, sign me up.
And you're like, gosh.
I'm amazed how many customers sometimes. So we have we got a pretty, rich customer base, and it's growing. And some people have never ordered the one with the dumpsters.
Or with the porta potty.
It's with the Porta-John too.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, once they do, they're like, oh man,
it's nice.
Yeah,
it's nice
because
these things are clean.
They're clean. They come with two.
And from a guy who's been on a job site, they're in charge of guys.
Yeah,
It is a game changer because before, what they'll do is they'll go out in the yard
Yes.
and pee.
Yeah.
And then you've got customers calling you or
Yeah.
neighbors watching it. You're just setting yourself up for major problems. Or especially if you have females, they got to drive to the gas station,
Yeah.
come back. So you're really losing a lot of time, and the numbers make perfect sense to get the porta potty, and it's just convenient.
Yeah, and for us, again, it's back to kind of what our brand, what we're trying to deliver from a brand is improving, job site efficiencies.
Yep.
Right, because we deal with a lot of industries that probably historically wouldn't order a porta-john, but once they have that porta-john on the job site, I'll go down the pitch, right? The pitch is, it reduces your liability. Now your workers are on the job site till they're off the job site.
Yep.
They're never having to go off to a gas station, which is added risk, right? And then when they go off the job site, they don't just go up the job site to use the restroom. They're buying chips, they're buying, soft drinks, right? By the time they get back, could be 45 minutes later. Now they're out of that groove, right? If they're roofers, right? And, you get in a groove when you're working.
Absolutely.
Right? When you're cleaning out a house
Yep.
from a restoration job, you start to build some momentum.
Yeah.
And once you break that momentum, man, to get that,
especially if you have 8-10 guys out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's really hard to get it back going, dude.
So our whole thing is, increase job site efficiencies.
Yep. It definitely does that. Another question that I always like to kind of close with. What so knowing what you know now, you've been in business 4 years, about.
Going on 4 years.
You guys are doing a couple million a year, $1.5 million, whatever it is. Knowing what you know now, what's something you would have done differently day one, month one, day -90 when you first started networking? Just thinking about that guy, that girl who might be listening right now. He's like, okay, I'm in. What do I do right now?
I would have worked harder up front.
In what capacity?
I thought we worked hard, but when I look at how hard we're working now,
I see.
Right, I would have worked harder. Right, we had an opportunity to really dig our heels in to different networking groups, right? To identify the right networking groups, to sit down with individuals like yourself, other entrepreneurs, and spend a lot more time educating ourselves on mindset, right?
Community,
yeah, all of that stuff. I would have spent, and again, there's, I say that, but not doing it also added, some benefits, right?
Yeah.
The struggle has helped us.
Yeah.
Right. The struggle has definitely helped us.
What's funny that you say that is because asking that question 99% of the time, we get a very similar answer, which is find a community, find a network, dig into it, find as many as you can, because that's where the relationships come from. And ultimately, that's where most of these businesses see their business come from, especially early on. Before you have any SEO traction, before anybody knows your brand, it's all relationships. So the sooner you can start doing that. And if you're the person who's contemplating starting a business, you got 6 months with a job, start the networking now.
Yeah.
Start it now. Just say, hey, look, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I promise, this is my business. I want to get some customers before I even open up. If you are opening a business with customers, you're going to eliminate a significant amount of stress.
And you're going to learn so much from that community.
Yes.
I will say this.
Their pain points.
The greatest benefit of any networking group or association that I've been involved in is knowing that there's a community of people out there that kind of are like-minded, right? And you find peace and you find motivation and you find courage, right, through that community, because it's terrifying. Because you feel very alone, right? Coming from a corporate world where you had a team, right? You had this team atmosphere, and you always had somebody that you could pick up the phone and talk to. And when you're an entrepreneur and you're on your own and you don't have a business partner, right? I mean, it feels alone.
It's very alone. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Especially when things aren't going right.
And when, you start to doubt your abilities and, doubt the direction, and the fear starts to creep in, and you feel extremely vulnerable. You feel extremely alone. Having that community of people going, "Guy, I know exactly what you're talking about."
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Yeah, you start to be like, man, maybe I am an idiot.
Yeah,
maybe I shouldn't be doing
that's
this.
right. Who in the hell did I think I was?
Who let me do this? Dude, that's it, man. All right, last question.
Yeah.
What's the goals for the rest of the year? Where do you guys want to end up this year?
What, financially?
Whatever.
Or so
size, financially?
So our goals is to build out Clarksville. So
Nice.
We're moving out to Clarksville. We're doing a short-term month-to-month lease with our equipment out there. We love the community out in Clarksville. We feel like there's a tremendous amount of growth. We like the fact that they've got the military out there. They've got a university out there. They've got a bunch of new businesses opening out there. So we want to grow as Clarksville grows. We obviously have our big, hairy, audacious goals that we're chasing down. We're looking at 6 months into it. We're on track, God willing.
Nice.
Right. We'll continue to
You gonna hit
grow.
the big $2 million?
That's our goal.
Nice, dude.
So
that's probably a perfect spot to wrap.
Yeah.
This has been awesome, dude. I just want to say I appreciate our relationship, everything over the last 4 years, man. You guys not only have worked great to us in business. I'm going to hard sell you and get you on our app starting in August.
You don't have to hard sell me.
All right, and then and hopefully we can get you some residential customers there. Yeah. And then lastly, dude, respect the hell out of the entrepreneur game. I know it, so I appreciate you, man.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, buddy.